I was just literally, welcome back, by the way. I was just literally smiling through that very last story from Anambra State because it looks like the season of defection is really literally not over. So the next election is going to be quite interesting as to what the opposition will look like against the ruling party, as well as the people, you and I, in between all of this. But I did say that Anambra is going to be the big chunk of the conversation tonight, and rightly so, because Anambra election is almost like a national election in a sense because of the competition that is involved in terms of the elections generally. So just a quick rundown of, let's say, 21 local government areas in 326 wards is where this election will be happening. And we understand that 2,800 plus 2 million, I should say, 800,000, let me put the right figure, 2,802,790 total number of registered voters have been registered in Anambra State for this particular election. We understand also 1.8 million people have collected their PVCs, which makes it roughly over 60% of the total number. Police deployment, 45,000. That's quite massive. NSCDC, 10,000. The buses that will be used for logistics by INEC, about 2,000 plus. And we have boats that will be going to the riverine areas, about 83 of them. But let's bring in our first guest for tonight on the program. And that has to do with, let's bring in, well, the reason I'm kind of excited because most of the time people say, okay, we really do not have females on the program. But this time, we're bringing a woman who is also on the ballot as far as Saturday's election is concerned. She's the governorship candidate of the AAC in Anambra State, Chioma Ifemeludike. She joins us virtually from Onitsha. Chioma, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
You don't look tired and worn out at all. You look well rested and ready for the game because a lot of the candidates, if you go speak to them now, they'll tell you, you know, we have to touch base with every part of the state to make sure that we'll get as many votes as possible. Let me start with a generic one. How's the campaign been for you so far? Have you been campaigning?
Well, I'm actually exhausted. I'm actually not worn out, but yes, we've put in a lot of work. We've put in a lot of resources for the past months, and yes, we are ready at this point. We're waiting for what November 8th is going to be like, or what decision in the Anambra are going to make.
I'm going to layer the conversation with you in phases. So let me begin with the political conversation first. And the truth is that there are two things I want to find out from you. So let me begin with the very first one. Do you think you're popular enough to give any candidate, especially the incumbent, a run for his money by any stretch of imagination, by your own assessment?
Oh, well, from beginning, you know, it was a question, that question, you know, came to mind. But then I believe that it wasn't a question of popularity, it was a question of purpose, of intent, and of my plans, my passion to come into the political space of Anambra State and rescue my people. So with such intention, and popularity was not, because I understood that it wasn't an issue of who was more popular, but who has a message that resonates and will stand the test of time. So for me, it wasn't about popularity, and I don't think this is about popularity. It's about the intention the leader has for his or her people. Yeah, so, and from the beginning, it didn't seem like I was popular enough, but now I can categorically say that for as much as, you know, what it should be, people have come to understand the message I'm bringing to the table. And yes, all the forces joined together has put me in the very faces of the relevant people, from the candidates, the masses, and the media.
So I understand you're an actress. So does being an actress or in the creative sector, has it helped in any way or shape or form?
Oh, I've had some of my colleagues, you know, try to support me, even though for so many, they probably don't understand the connection. You know, the creative industry is entirely different from politics, only that for some of us, someone like me, who have had a background in politics and governance, whether it's in my study or it is in my activities for over a decade now. I've been actively participating, and that's rare. So it seems like when it's not like I'm stepping out of my career to do this or to go into this road path. I've been here, and some of my colleagues know. They probably don't understand it. They probably don't know how to connect to it. But a few of them have been helpful, have been supporting in their own various ways.
The reason I'm asking, I said I'm going to layer the conversation. So just walk with me for a moment. Let me stay with the politics and I'll come to the programs you have for the people of Anambra State. I like to work with trends and data. And from just literally thinking back all the way to 1999, whether at state levels or national level, people in the creative sector have really not done well when they try to vie for elective office. I mean, just in microcosm, literally, have been able to succeed. Does that bother you?
It doesn't really. I don't think it's something that should bother anyone. Like I said, the creative industry kind of stands on its own as an institution, different from politics. So sometimes the problem is that the creatives kind of find an opportunity and they find themselves, doing politics suddenly. And then you don't see the connect. The people can't connect, their popularity and their political careers because there's been no, relationship between them and the people politically. So I think that has, somehow made it look like creatives have not really succeeded in politics. And I think it's bringing to our attention why we should, the creative industry should somehow connect with politics. But for someone like me, even though it hasn't been proper politics or vying for a position, but I have always been in the corridor of activism, trying to join civil rights organizations, calling government to do the right thing, mounting pressure through protests, through any form of advocacies. I've been very active. But I think I agree that somehow the creative industry has not connected properly with the politics or the political institutions.
There's a big elephant in the room. Before I leave the politics and come to your program, which I know you're you are ready to talk about, because today is the last day you can actually say all of those. The next thing is just a waiting game. And that has to do with the war chest. War chest, financial muscle, is a critical success factor, whether rightly or wrongly, in Nigerian politics. You're an actress, Anambra city or state of billionaires and millionaires, a lot of money play the game as it is. Talk to us about how you want to stand up to that level of war chest with an incumbent.
Oh yeah, for us it wasn't. I didn't personally believe that it was more about the money, because if it was about the money and comparing ourselves with the incumbent or any of this money bags, we'll probably not have been in the ballot or even stepped into the ring. But it goes beyond money, and there's a place to correct these things. It mustn't always mean that it has to be the money bags, because then there's a question of what is the source of their money, and that has been a bane of the political growth or development of our society, especially in the Southeast, where people look up to money bags to come and do what they have to do, use their money to buy up positions and then eventually become leaders. So when people start crying out or clamoring for good leadership and how things are not good, but then you look at the trajectory and how they've been making it look like you need to have so much money. I don't think money is the major needs or requirements. I think what you need is a leader that has the right plans, the right blueprint, and has the conscience to deliver good leadership. Because you don't expect a leader to bring money to the field. You bring the leader because the resources are available. We just need someone who can manage these resources and channel them in the right sectors to be able to deliver good leadership. conducive environment, all the social amenities in our communities. That's what we need. But in the other way around here, we tend to look for a money bag who will pay us for our conscience when they are, when they are rich enough to buy our votes and then become leaders. We go round again and start crying. So it's a vicious circle, and I wish to see it end. And that was why I stepped in, because I understood that it wasn't my money which was going to speak. It was my courage, it was my passion, and it was, my innovative plans from the Anambra State that will eventually stand the test of time, and posterity will judge us all. Yeah.
I think you articulate your thought quite well. So let's get to it. And it just crossed my mind now that Anambra holds a place in history as well, in a couple of things. I think that's where this off-cycle election stuff happened. That is where we had a governor that was a governor for less than a month, about 14, 15 days or so. That is also where we had the first female governor when her principal was impeached. So there's a lot of firsts when it comes to Anambra. But let's talk about your program, which is the biggest of all the conversation. And I always like to start with, what is it that Chioma Soludo, the current governor, he's doing that you feel that he's not doing enough? So this is my own plan. I think I have a better program and plan for the people of Anambra. So you guys call it Ndi Anambra.
Ndi Anambra, yes. Yeah, so for me, there's so much to be done in Anambra State, and we haven't seen it under the Professor Soludo's leadership. And mostly for me, especially in security, there were so many deaths. I think those deaths could have been averted. And when human lives are concerned, the primary thing the government should provide for the people with all the allocations and all the monies they, canvass from different areas, from IGR and all of that. We expect that people's lives should matter, that the government should value lives and put all the necessary mechanisms to provide security to the people. And then there are too many deaths that were recorded, people shot in broad daylight, people kidnapped, ransom paid, and they were still killed, body dumped on the roads. A young boy, Emmanuel Chinecheremigwe, which made me go on a protest. The government house was slaughtered like an animal. We can't just sit back and watch things like this happen in this 21st century. Are we waiting for the US to come and save Anambra State? It doesn't make any sense that, for instance, Chinecheremigwe was adopted for 4 days, held in the, with his captors, with his sisters. And then after 4 days, someone came in, some vigilante group men came in with the boy's family, were able to accost one of the kidnappers, and he later escaped with handcuffs and came back and slaughtered this boy. This boy was a teen, so it doesn't make any sense. And under my, leadership as governor of Anambra State, I intend to, adopt the Vigilante group or network, because I think the Vigilante network or framework is a very important one, because it almost serves, or it replicates a state police approach, because this setup is under the control of the state government. So I'm going to set up this Vigilante network, and it will be set up in the...
cut into your thought. My apologies, because you mentioned Vigilante. I think there's Agune Chamber. I think that's the name of the Vigilante group. So if you're talking about what you want to do,
I'm going to scrap it because it's not effective. I'm going to scrap it. They weren't effective at the time that they had their chance. They weren't adequate. And for me, some of the things I'm going to mention is why this security agency was not effective, and what I'm going to do differently. First of all, when I'm going to adopt a framework as a vigilante network to intervene in security matters in communities, I'm going to make sure I recruit them from the local communities where they come from, because I can't bring foreigners in a community where they're not used to oversee. So we're going to have it registered and recognized under the government and the people. We're going to make sure that these vigilante groups are trained because training for us makes a difference. For instance, when you want to compare the training of the military officer and the police officer, you can tell there are differences. This is where training comes in. If you don't adequately train your recruits and then you push them out on the streets, how then do you expect they can know the difference between interfacing with civilians and criminals? And then you see the cases of assaults, of extortion, the same situation we're trying to curb. It doesn't make any sense. And then again, we're going to be equipping them. And equipping them now is not handing them AK-45s, because it doesn't make sense that we have to be scared of people who are supposed to be, making us feel safe. So when you hand these people guns and then you lose them out on, to the community people without training, without trying to, give them the orientation, the needed orientation that is standardized. I mean, it's just, you're waiting for the doom of that setup. So we're going to train them and equip them. The equipment they'll be needing, considering the locality that they'll be overseeing, will be more of information gathering gadgets, intelligence gathering gadgets. These are the things we're going to be equipping the security with. And then, of course, pay them. We're going to make sure that their wages are good enough.
Let me butt in for a moment, if you will, because of time, so that we can cover as many grounds as the time allows us. And that has to do with the economy. And I'd like to posit it around, for instance, in Nnewi, I don't know the state of infrastructure in Nnewi, but Nnewi is always looked at by persons who don't live in Anambra as one of Nigeria's quote-unquote China. Industrialization is key to be able to drive any economy, and that industrialization has to come from, of course, the background has to do with power. So talk to us about, do you have an aggressive industrialization plan for Anambra, given its potential? And if you do, how do you want to approach it? Remember that there's also the issue of paucity of funds. A lot of states, including Anambra, depend on federal allocation. According to budget numbers in 2023, from their release of 2024 as against 2023, Anambra State depended on FACT to the tune of about 71 or 70%. So walk us through how you intend to achieve some level of economic transformation that will be different from what we have seen so far.
Okay, yes. So I don't think funds are the issues here. I think the major issues here are the management of it and prioritizing, what sectors need to be prioritized. So, but speaking to the things you mentioned, for instance, you talked about Nnewi infrastructurally. And people assume or say Nnewi is a China. And it's good to, give all those accolades and names, to Anambra State or to Nnewi. But for me, I don't think Nnewi has the face, the environmental face to attract investors who would, give it that capacity to look like an industrial city. I don't think Nnewi has gotten to the point to be called an industrial city. Because when you come to Nnewi and you look at even the road networks, the road conditions, can they bring an investor and keep them? I don't think so, because the congestion in Nnewi alone would discourage even a local. I am from Anambra, and I don't think I can live in Nnewi. And this is all respect. I mean, I give my respect to Nnewi. I cut my cap to them. They are great business people. They are very, loving people. I've lived with them. And I see all the potentials in Nnewi. But I think infrastructurally, and truly respect to the heavyweights in the Nnewi, but I think more has to be done in terms of expansion of the roads. You can't talk about infrastructure, commerce or trade without infrastructure, basically roads. Because if people can access the roads to as little as buy stuff at the market, just those kind of little,
That's why I'm telling you to
activity.
tell us your plan of what you will do differently, given all of the things you've identified.
That's what, if you pay attention, you could hear the details I'm giving to what the things I'm going to do, which is infrastructurally to measure into road building and expanding the roads to give Nnewi a facelift that can enable, because, for instance, during the summer, why do people travel? They travel so they can have a conducive environment where they can share memories with their families and loved ones. So how then do you expect people to come to a city or a town that doesn't suit the kind of environment they want to be in? So I'm going to give Nnewi an environmental facelift that would enable us to allow investors come by major road constructions, major road expansions, building flyovers, connecting the busy axis and making sure that there are no congestions or traffics that would reduce the economic activity in environments or towns like Nnewi. So infrastructure is priority for us.
Maybe just hold that thought for a moment. I want to take a quick break. When I come back, just to get your landing thoughts. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guests, the governorship candidate of the AAC in Saturday's governorship election in Anambra State, Chioma Ifemeludike. She joins us from Onitsha. Chioma, we just have like a minute, if you can do this for us in just 1 minute. And that question is, are you confident of a free, fair, credible election on Saturday?
I think I've said this too many times, that confidence, I can't say about that. I can't say confidence. But like I always say, it's time for the institutions to prove themselves, from INEC to the security agencies. The stage is set again, and history is about to happen. So it's time for us to see, how much of integrity these institutions have got to do the right thing and deliver the mandates of the people of Anambra State. Yes, their rights to vote and their votes to count.
Fantastic. A great way to land your thoughts. We wish you the very best. Chioma Ifemeludike, AAC governorship candidate in the Anambra State governorship election taking place on Saturday. Good luck.
Thank you.